Hello, my name is Brian, and welcome back. If you watched my very first video, I guess that applies. Welcome back. If you didn't, then welcome for the first time. This video is a behind the scenes for the video that I just posted, which was an animation that I made for a class from my senior year of high school back in 2023. And I actually recorded a pretty long behind the scenes director's commentary video back then, and I just decided that I might as well post that here because, you know, I think it's cool looking back. But I thought I needed to provide a little bit of context. So basically, I was in a class in senior year of high school. It was called digital composition. Now, I was going to go on to explain a little bit about the class, but then I remembered that another assignment was actually to make a commercial for our school's morning news, and I think that actually explains it pretty well, so here's that.
In a world filled with boring English classes.
What are you doing?
Recording the digital composition ad for LTV?
No, I'm not letting you make our commercial like this. This is stupid.
Oh, don't be silly.
This is the commercial.
No!
This March.
So you're telling me they get to make videos?
No, not just videos. Podcasts, graphic designs, even a photography series. Every unit in this class is project-based. How do I sign up for the class? I don't know. Tell me! Fine, talk to your guidance counselor and fill out the online form.
The fate of the world.
I can't do this. I don't know how to make any of this stuff.
Don't you worry. This class is gonna give you all the tools you ever gonna need.
Rests on one class.
Don't talk to me.
Yep, so that was an accurate depiction of exactly what the class was like every day. So now you know, and let's get back to the video. And one of the projects, like the big project at the end of the year, was a literary adaptation that we had to make. And we just had to pick some kind of literary piece and make a video adaptation of it. So what I did, I chose If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, because I loved that book. And I decided to make an animated adaptation because I was starting to get really into making animations. I had just, you know, I had taught myself like how to use Blender over the past few years. And, you know, I was getting decent at it, so I thought it would be fun to make an animation for this. Little did I know that was going to be really, really hard. So the assignment was to make a literary adaptation, but there was an important piece to that I didn't really consider until it was kind of too late, and that was the fact that it was to make a literary adaptation. It was 5 to 10 minutes long, and I decided to make it animated. So up to this point, I had only made animations that were 30 or 40 seconds long, and I was like, well, you know, I'm pretty experienced at this point, so it's probably not going to be that bad. I mean, I don't have to put that much effort into the quality because it's for a class and whatever, but, you know, it's not that different. Apparently, there actually was just a small difference between making a 30-second long animation and an 8-minute long animation. Yeah, that's probably what I'll say. It was an insane undertaking, but I'm very, very proud, like, to this day, of what I was able to accomplish. I mean, you know, looking back, there's some serious flaws in it, but still, I mean, I think it was, like, really crazy that I was able to do this in the time that I had. I can't remember exactly how long. I think it was, like, a month, maybe. I can't remember the exact amount of time, but yeah. So the other important thing was that for this assignment, we had to make a twist. Like, it was a twist on a literary work. not just a straight adaptation. So that's why I decided to make it, instead of if you give a mouse a cookie, I made it, wait for it, if you give a squirrel a sandwich. And on top of changing that, I made it dark and edgy. Not that edgy, but there was this whole twist with it. You know, if you go and watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But, you know, basically it was just, I made it kind of insanely dark. There was, the climax was the entire house burnt down. But, anyway, this is just a little intro to the director's commentary that I made, and I will play that now. I apologize for the fact that I'm speaking so low. I think I recorded this at like midnight, like at the last minute, because I didn't have much time because I spent all of it making the 8-minute long animated film. But yeah, also anytime I need to add a little context, I'll just add a little box in the corner with some text just to say something or whatever. But yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the behind the scenes, and you know, I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, hello. This is Brian Biglin coming at you with the director's commentary for When You Give a Squirrel a Sandwich. Now, the way this is going to work, I'm just going to be playing through this hopefully older version of the video. I'm hoping to make some changes if I have time after this, but we'll see. Yeah, so I'm just going to be playing through this, giving my thoughts, stuff like that. So yeah, let me just let's get right into it. So when I was storyboarding the opening for this scene, I knew I wanted it to open up dramatically as the audience realizes that something is happening here. I actually kind of took inspiration from the Lego movie, the opening like right at those eyes. But anyway, yeah, so I wanted the camera to come out through the roof, very dramatic, opening up the scene, showing that where this story is going to go. And then here, I really like cool transitions. So in this case, I had to duplicate the project file with the non-destroyed version of the house and then fade between them, so it's two separate videos that are stitched together. But yeah, so then pretty happy with how this opening sequence ended up going, the music and everything. Then the synced music to the beat drop when the title appears. I'm very happy with how that turned out. I'm also very happy with the visuals in general. I really think I did a really good job with emulating a colored pencil 2D drawn style for most of it. Like you can see, it's you can see the emulated style there, and I did that by combining two separate tutorials I found on YouTube. One for making the outlines, and then another for the actual texture itself with all the colors. It's a little complicated, but I basically modified a watercolor shading tutorial and went through lots of different versions, but I'm definitely happy with how it turned out. It makes it feel a lot more faithful as like a visual adaptation. But anyway, this scene in particular was difficult because this was the first one that I did with all the dialogue and everything, and I'll go back to that a little later. But it was a big new process for me, figuring out the mouth movements, everything, the rigs, all of it, lots of new stuff. And here in this montage, I really wanted this to be cool and like good. I can't really think of other words to describe right now, but I wanted this to be an actual real, like, feeling like this was the big adaptation part from the storybook. Like you can even see, like, with the white backgrounds, the text, the page flips. Like I wanted this to literally feel like you were just flipping through the pages of the original If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. And then also having this visual symbol of the dominoes. And see here, this is an area I want to add like more camera movement and stuff to it to make it a little more dynamic. But I'm going all over the place here. The main idea here is that I wanted it to feel like this was like the real faithful adaptation part of the actual original book, where I wanted it to be an actual sequence of events that all continued. Now you see there on his face, this is really where some of the issues that I was encountering with the rig came into play. I had some big problems that I ran into when I was trying to figure out the rigging for the characters, which is like the digital skeleton that you use to move them around. I was using this add-on called Meta Rig, and I really did not understand how it worked. So some things I just kind of wung and sort of worked out. But yeah, no, definitely a learning experience. Lots of trial and error for pretty much every aspect of the project, but especially in terms of animation and rigging and stuff. Camera movement wasn't too bad. I've done that in my other projects, but this one I hadn't done too much complex rigging with big skeletons like this, so lots of more new stuff. And for all of these scenes too, I had to like set up the entire environment digitally in like the digital scene. I had to set up the whole environment. It took a lot of time. And then here, this was another thing I figured out all the way back when I was storyboarding. I really wanted there to be like this scene, it opened up the same way as the beginning opened up, when it like zoomed out on the face. But with this one, I was really going for the dramatic shots, and you know, some parts didn't end up really landing with that drama just because I wasn't able to make the animation as high of a quality as it could have been. But I'm pretty happy with in general how these shots look. Like the fire, I was able to find a procedural texture tutorial, so it's not an actual simulated fire, it's just a bunch of objects with the moving texture. But you know, I think it looks good enough, I at least in my opinion. This shot here, it was like the big dramatic shot from the storyboard. I'm pretty happy with how I got that figured out. Another big thing that makes the fire scenes work is that there's a compositing effect there that like is sort of the glow around the edges of the fire, and it really brings out that like papery texture. That scene where he fell, that took forever to animate. It's big complex movements like that take a while. But yeah, I wanted this to be this whole confrontation here, right, between Biff and Owen. I wanted to be the big dramatic, like, character-driven moment of the adaptation, because that's the main thing I wanted to change. Like, delve a little further into these characters, because you know, Owen I wanted to portray as this naive and lonely kid, and Biff as this more selfish but also oblivious friend. So you know, the conflict, I wanted it to be feeling a little more grounded in reality and a little deeper. So with the idea that I was having behind this confrontation was that, you know, I wanted it to be a realistic conflict where you know, Owen feels like he's being taken advantage of by Biff, but the thing that I was thinking was that I wanted to add a little complexity there, where Owen also contributed to the problem because he didn't stand up for himself. He didn't let Biff know that there was a problem, and so you see that there was, both parties were to blame a little bit, and that's why when they both realized what each other was doing wrong, that's how they kind of made amends at the end. But of course, Biff had to be the one to do the apologizing and rebuilding of the house to make up for what he really did. It was weighted a little more on his end for the wrongdoing, of course. But yeah, so anyway, these credits are a big thing that I want to change a little. Like I need to go back and add the actual artists for these songs. But yeah, no, sorry, I kind of had to go pretty quick through some of those parts because I didn't really feel like pausing to explain certain things. But I might go back here in a second after the credits roll. But overall, I mean, I'm not gonna pretend like this is some amazing grand film that I made here, but I mean, it definitely is by far the longest animated project that I've made. Just clocking in right under 8 minutes, might even be a little closer to that in the final version. The animations that I've made in the past, they haven't been more than 40 seconds, so this has been a really big step up, just in length, overall production, and then also, just like I was saying with the models, the rigs, all of these models, I had to make myself, including the characters, all the objects, so that took a lot of time. The environments too, everything in the background, I had to make myself, so there's lots of trial and error there. The houses, I used a reference image to kind of try and create that, but also mimic the style of the book, because the books, the proportions are usually realistic, it's just kind of simplified, so that was kind of what I was going for, but it all comes down to trying to make it feel like the environments are complete without doing any more work than is necessary. So, you know, I've reused the house assets and a lot of the colors, just swapping up things, reused a lot of the same trees, all that sort of stuff. On the note of trying to fit the style, that goes with the characters too. I used references from both the book and then also the Amazon original series that they made of this, because those models are a little different. And then also just real life, like for Biff, for instance, I used a model of a real life squirrel as well, because you don't really get the full 3D effect when you're trying to model in 3D. I'll probably include, I have a time lapse of the whole process of modeling Biff. I'll probably be including that on this website as well. But anyway, yeah, so both Owen and Biff, original models, learned a lot of new stuff from that process as well, modeling them. Sandwich was original model. Oh, and then another thing with the rigs, on top of the skeletons, the mouth was a new thing. I've never animated mouths before. I've never had dialogue, so the dialogue was a really involved process. So both me and Mr. David, we filmed kind of a whole long recording of all of the lines from the script for our character, and then what I had to do is I had to export that and then put that into Adobe Audition, and then individually go through, select the takes for every piece of dialogue that I liked the best. I had to copy that and then paste that into a new file, save that as its own audio file. Then I exported that and I lined them all up in Blender, because in Blender the way it works is that you have like a window where you can put audio in, where it's running, you know, in parallel to the actual movements. So like in the Blender file, I was able to hear the audio. Then I was able to animate the mouth movement alongside the dialogue. So the words were actually recorded first, and then I animated the mouths to go along with the words. It's a little bit of a backwards process, but yeah. So I followed a tutorial online for making this 2D mouth rig. So that wasn't too difficult. It was pretty difficult to animate though. I had to, again, this is another thing I had to learn a lot for. So one thing that came in handy was that there's actually reference sheets online that I was able to look up for the main poses for different phonetic sounds that the mouth makes for all the different syllables and whatnot. So I was able to kind of do that. And that was where another thing came in that I could not figure out, was a pose library for the mouth. It worked in one scene, but then I wasn't able to copy it over to another, so that was just a whole deal that really slowed the process down. That's something I need to figure out in the future, but yeah, so that was a really involved process. You can see here, I was having some big issues with the movement for the bodies, because like I said, I just used like a pre-built rig that I applied to this. I could not figure out how to switch from inverse kinematics to forward kinematics, so I was left with the hands controlling the movement of the elbows for the whole thing. Like in this case, it would make more sense for the shoulder to be moving the arm at like the pivot point, but the hand was moving it. And that's another thing. Like, there's so many technicalities in terms of like the animation itself that I still need to get a good feel of, get practice with, learn. This project, there was so many moving elements to it. I just couldn't do everything. So I focused primarily on trying to make the product complete and including all of the elements that I wanted, like this montage. So even if there were some parts that didn't end up being the best, like you see here, like this is another, like the rig was like, his face had this indent into it. There was a bunch of stuff that went wrong, but you know, in the end, I was able to have a finished product that is whole, so that's what I was aiming for. I shoved way more than I even thought I was going to be able to with this deadline, which I had to push back multiple times just because of how long this was taking. But I mean, I had like maybe around 10 different scenes. All of them had their own dialogue, their own music. I had to create 3 separate environments: the outside, the kitchen, and then the bedroom, and then I had to figure out all of this. I mean, pretty much everything was already storyboarded before I started working in Blender, but it was another process of transitioning from storyboard to actually making that in Blender, because then I had to set up all the camera shots and everything. But yeah, so there's just so many different little things that go into this process. Another big thing was music. I really think music is a really important thing that just ties everything together, and it really can elevate a lot of different types of things, lots of different types of scenes. I'm really happy with the music choices that I got with this. I spent a while looking through Pixabay for really good fits. Yeah, these are all. A couple of these are actually kind of just, I pulled sort of like sound effects. I think it was Taking Our Time was the one that it was just like the dramatic sound after he fell and then the oven turned on. There's a little error right there. I forgot to remove the light on this one. There's so many little things that I'm able to nitpick that nobody would be able to see. But yeah, I don't want to drag this on for too long, but just, you know, in general, this was a very involved process. It took a very, very long time. I always mean to keep track of my time I spend working on this, but I always fall off of it. But I do know I've been trying to count it all up. I'm pretty confident that if you're including the pre-production with like making the script, making the storyboard, and then the actual production of like everything with the animation, modeling everything, texturing everything, setting up the environments, setting up the camera movements, rigging, animating the camera, animating the rigs, animating the faces, which all had to be done separately, and then finding the music, figuring out the music, recording the dialogue, and then figuring out all the dialogue placement and timing and stuff, and then all the compositing, all the rendering, post-processing, and then the editing, everything all together. And then I'm sure I'm forgetting some other steps too. All of that combined, I'm very confident that I spent over 100 hours on this project, but I think that it was worth it personally, because I learned so much from doing this. I learned so much every time I do a new project because I push myself to do new things that I haven't done before, and it makes me learn new things. Oh, and then that was one other thing I forgot. I actually painted the sky here in Photoshop because I wasn't able to find a good HDRI sky that fit the style of the book with the kind of watercolor background. So that's what I did there. I spent a while trying to get the good look of these trees. I had to use like a displacement modifier with the cloud texture or something. I don't even remember at this point, but yeah, I think also these textures actually don't interact with the light, so I had to go through a lot of it was just a very big process trying to find the right colors. I had to manually figure out the right colors for the environment with this. put this, like, this isn't like a natural reflection, like on a normal 3D texture, because of the way that this worked. It's like an emission texture. So I had to like, I won't even go into that. It was just, in general, just lots and lots of stuff. But, you know, I was able to get it done, and that's kind of the important thing. So yeah, I think that I could probably wrap it up there. Basically talked about pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, I hope that whoever is listening to this enjoyed it. And yeah, you can check out some of the other behind the scenes stuff that I probably have on this page of the website. And yeah, with that, all I'll say is thank you for watching.